If you're working harder than ever, but barely making money as a photographer, you're probably believing at least one of these 7 lies. I'm revealing the false beliefs that keep photographers stuck and broke, plus what to focus on instead to build a 6-figure plus photography business. Listen, many photographers are working harder than ever, but still struggling to make ends meet. So they do what feels productive. I'm going to update my website. I'm going to tweak my branding. I'm going to buy some new gear, thinking that is the thing that will finally make the money roll in. But seriously, that's not why they're stuck. What's really happening is they're believing a few sneaky lies the industry has normalized, and those lies keep them in survival mode. By the way, if we haven't met, I'm Sarah Petty, founder of the Photography Business Institute. In my photography business, I've sold over $3 million, and I've helped more than 33,000 photographers build profitable businesses. Let's start with lie number 1. So many photographers waste time fixing the wrong problem. Okay. I see photographers every day telling themselves, if I just refresh my portfolio or I learn one more Lightroom editing trick, then I'll start booking better clients. But most of the time, your website isn't broken. Your editing skills aren't what's holding you back. What's actually missing is this: getting in front of the right people and knowing how to make them excited to invest with you without feeling salesy or pushy. Here's the real issue. Okay, I really want you to hear this because you're likely solving the wrong problem. Because let me tell you, there are always going to be a ton of things to fix in your business. And as you're growing, you have to be a little okay with this. Because when you're doing this, you're getting stuck in busy work. And I think that's kind of like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. You're busy, but you're not fixing the thing that's sinking the ship. Someone's spending hours tweaking their website, but there's no traffic. Someone taking another skills workshop, but there's no process to turn those inquiries into paid sessions. So let me say this plainly and clearly. The problem usually isn't your photography. The problem is you don't have a system to get consistently in front of qualified clients. And once you get that inquiry, you don't have a sales process or a pricing strategy that leads to profitable orders. So stop hiding in the technical work because it feels safe. Your work is already good enough, okay? Now it's time to focus on getting the clients, serving them well, and making profitable sales. Lie number 2. So many photographers make assumptions based on their own opinion or situation. This is a big one, my friend, and it's costing photographers so much money. Listen, when I was the marketing director at an advertising agency, we had a client who owned an employment firm. He was probably in his 50s at that time, and he didn't want us to buy ads for his business on a radio station that he didn't listen to, even though he wanted to reach young people. So think about that for a second. He didn't listen to that radio station, so he assumed that nobody else did either. Luckily, we had the stats to prove to him that his target audience was in fact listening to those stations, but you don't have an ad agency to do that for you. I see so many photographers doing this, maybe you are too, telling yourself that, oh my gosh, my prices can't be too high because I would never pay that much. Or I'm never on social media, so I'm never going to find clients there. Or nobody I know has extra money right now. It's hard. It's hard for me, so it must be hard for everyone else. Here's the problem with that thinking. You are not your client. Your financial situation, your decorating style or lack thereof, your values around investing in photography, that can't matter. It doesn't matter when it comes to what your ideal client wants and needs. I can't tell you how many times I've seen photographers completely undercharge because they're selling out of their own wallet. You might want to write that down. Stop selling out of your own wallet. They look at a price and they think, I could never afford that. So they assume no one else can either. But your clients aren't you. They have different priorities and different budgets. Okay, so to succeed, we need to stop projecting our own limitations onto the market we serve and know that if we just get out of the way, we can thrill them. They're not you. Lie number 3, many photographers get trapped with what we call the sunk cost fallacy. This is where you stay committed to something that isn't serving you anymore just because you've already invested time or money or both into it. Think about it like college. Do you have that friend that got to their senior year and realized, oh, I don't actually want to be a nurse or a teacher or whatever for the rest of my life? And there are some people who stay on that path anyway because they've already spent years and all this money to build this career that they're gonna hate for the rest of their life. But if they just pivot and move on to something they actually love, that time wasn't wasted, neither was that money. It got them to the point to where they finally realized, I don't want to do this and I'm going to go find what I do want to do. The healthy move is to pivot, not double down on the wrong thing just because you've invested in it. Photographers do the same thing. Let me give you an example. Maybe you've been paying for an online ordering gallery for months or years. And even though your clients aren't placing big orders, you keep it up because it's already set up and you know how to use it. Maybe you've been doing mini sessions forever, so you feel like you can't stop, even though they burn you out and they don't lead to $1,000 plus clients. Or you've built your business around delivering digital files. So you've got the system set up and you've got all the methods done. So to switch to selling prints and wall art feels like you're too late. No, here's the truth. The money, the time, the energy you've already spent, that's gone whether you keep doing it or not. So the only question that matters now is, what's the best path forward? So don't let those past decisions keep you stuck in a model or a workflow or working with clients in a way that's not working for you. You are always allowed to change it. Lie number 4, I see many photographers thinking in black or white instead of shades of gray. Let me tell you what I mean by that. You can be scared and still raise your prices to a profitable level, okay? It doesn't have to be one or the other, and it probably won't be. You can be insecure and join a local business networking group. You can be new and follow a system to get success faster than an experienced pro who won't adapt to market changes. This is and thinking instead of or thinking, instead of but thinking, okay? And not or but. Most photographers are sitting at a green light waiting for every car in the road to disappear before they drive, but you'll never get perfect conditions, my friend. Progress happens in motion and you're gonna make mistakes. The act of doing is what creates the skill, not waiting for ideal timing, my friend. Listen, you don't have to feel 100% confident before you raise your prices. You don't have to have it all figured out before you start. You don't have to be fearless to take action. You just have to move forward anyway. I see this with student after student. They'll say, but I'm too introverted to network, or, but I'm not good with sales. And I tell them, you can be introverted and network. You can be not good at sales and easily have sales conversations as you learn and you get better. These are all learnable skills. So don't put yourself in a box saying that you're not good at something that you can learn to be good at. Your butt might be too big, and that's what's keeping you stuck, my friend. The and is what moves you forward. By the way, if you like what I'm sharing here, you will love my weekly newsletter. It's a quick 5-minute read with actionable ideas to grow your photography business. So check the link in the description to sign up. Lie number 5. I see many photographers suffering from something we call confirmation bias. Okay, so I want you to challenge yourself here. This is where you are looking for evidence of what you already believe. For example, everyone is broke. Nobody can afford custom heirloom photography because look, unemployment is up. The economy is terrible. None of my friends can afford it. So you gather all of this evidence to confirm the story that you're already telling yourself. I had a single friend who just quit looking for a boyfriend, quit dating, right? Or eventually a husband, because she would tell me, there are no good men left. Seriously, there are no good men left in the whole world. There isn't one. Of course, she only needed one. But do you think she's still single? Of course she is, because she had a confirmation bias. She was looking for proof that there are no good men. So when someone would break up with their boyfriend, she'd be like, see, no good men. When she heard a rumor of someone cheating, see, no good men. And we all do this at times. And especially in business. Listen, you don't need everyone to come to you or heck, even be able to afford you. But look for the proof that there are enough right people there. I believe that if someone else can do what I want to do, then it is possible. Start looking for that proof that someone else is succeeding in their business. This is why I share so many success stories from our community. It's proof that it's possible. Literally, our students have generated over $33 million since the pandemic started. So if you're only looking for evidence that it's hard and nobody can afford photography and everybody just wants digital files, that's exactly what you'll find. But if you start looking for evidence that people are investing, that photographers are succeeding, offering wall portraits and prints that are way higher profit margin because there's so much less time going into endless overshooting, over editing, and over retouching. You can find there are clients out there that do value this work. When you start looking for that, you're gonna know that you can find it too. You might wanna write this down, my friend. What you look for, you find. And here's what's wild. Often the photographers who are complaining the loudest about how broke everyone is, they're the same ones who aren't creating any value. They don't have serving and selling skills. They're competing on price in a race to the bottom, and then they're shocked when all they attract are cheap bargain hunters. All right, line number 6. So many photographers make up meanings that aren't true. And I remember a mentor of mine saying, nothing has meaning except the meaning you give it. Think about it. We were raised not having any beliefs or assigning meaning to anything. I see photographers every day tell themselves stories that easily could have been another story. Let me tell you what happened to me many years ago. Ugh, so brutal. But it was early website days, and we had just written a book and talked about my best client. And she was just my biggest fan, sent me so many referrals. And then one day, the 2 photographers that were working for me and with me went to her website. They were just searching around because websites were new. We were always curious of what people were doing. Went to another photographer's website and saw my best client there with her kids. I was literally sick about it. For like a year, I did this mental whack-a-mole with my negative thoughts. Like, what did I do wrong? Like, did she decide I was too expensive and not worth it? Did I offend her? And I just tortured myself with these questions. Well, about a year later, she called out of the blue for her annual session, just like normal, like nothing ever happened. So I decided not to say anything about knowing that she was on this other photographer's website and just went through the process like normal. Well, at the presentation, when I was showing her images, we got to the end and she said, I have a confession. And I was like, all right, here it comes, you know? She's gonna tell me she's been cheating on me with another photographer. Well, here's what happened. Her mom had won a gift certificate at a raffle, which is why I tell my students, don't do raffles. And she forced her to use it before it expired. She kept bugging her. So finally, my client, I'm very possessive about this, right? She was going on and on and on about how terrible this experience was with this other photographer and how I have no competition and on and on and on. And she said she didn't even order anything. She just took the free print that she won. So all that time, I just tortured myself with this made up story that didn't even serve me in the slightest. So now I remind myself of that story all the time. When something negative happens, because it's going to, I get to write the story that I tell myself that serves me, and I get to choose what it means. So someone leaves me a voicemail at night or an email canceling their session. So I tell myself maybe they had a family emergency. Maybe their kid got sick. Maybe they had an unexpected work deadline. I don't know the reason. So why would I make up a story that makes me feel terrible? Like, they realized I'm a fraud. They realized I'm really not a good photographer. They found someone better for less money, whatever the story is. Or a prospect doesn't book with me. So maybe I wasn't the right fit. Maybe they're not ready yet. Maybe they need to see more examples of my work. I don't know. I can't get inside their head. So why would I assume it's because I'm not good enough? Maybe they're going through a brutal divorce and their money's been locked down and they're too embarrassed to say something about it. Who knows? But stop making up meanings that hurt you. You don't know why things happen. So heck, if you're gonna make up a story anyway, at least make up one that serves you. And line number 7, many photographers focus on the tactics before or instead of starting with the strategy first. Listen, every client who came to us at the advertising agency would ask us, they would say, should I be doing radio or billboards or TV or direct marketing or whatever the things were? And they would say, because I tried that and it didn't work. They'd say, oh, radio doesn't work. And I'm not suggesting you do radio, my friend. But the interesting thing is they were trying these different tactics without an overarching strategy. So once we started working with them, we would start by looking at their branding and fix that mess that usually was there, creating cracks in the walls that they couldn't even see. So we would fix that, and then we would create an overarching strategy for their business. And sometimes we were recommending the exact methods that they had told us didn't work before. And guess what? We would get them results. Why? Because we started with a strategy first. Because without a strategy, tactics are meaningless. Think about it with weight loss. If you want to lose weight and you're asking yourself, should I buy a treadmill or a Stairmaster? Those are tactics. Without an overarching strategy that includes nutrition and exercise, neither of those tactics, a treadmill or a Stairmaster, will work. But if done correctly, either one can work. You've got to know your overarching strategy. And that's truly why so many photographers fail. They look at what other photographers are doing. They're asking me, should I run Facebook ads? Should I partner with other local business owners? What about SEO? Should I have multiple brands? And the thing is, there isn't one answer for these because they're tactics. The tactics depend on your specific brand strategy. I see photographers bouncing from tactic to tactic, and I'm betting that person in the mirror has done that too, right? You've tried this, it didn't work, so you tried that. You go to one networking event and you don't get a client, so you're like, oh, I guess I have to do mini sessions. But so many never stop to ask, what's my overall strategy? Who am I trying to reach? What makes me different? What transformation am I selling? How do I want my clients to experience my brand? You need to know who you're serving, what they value, where they are in life, and why they should choose you before you decide, before you go out there and start trying marketing tactics. Hopping from tactic to tactic, hoping something will stick. That's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall. And then if it sticks, it dribbles down and eventually plunks off the wall. Get your strategy right first, and then your tactics will crush for you. This is why I love coaching portrait photographers who are fighting over one or all 7 of these lies that they've been told over the years, right? I know that most photographers are struggling because they need help with their specific strategy, not just a list of tactics that someone else is using. Because friend, you're copying other photographers based on the assumption that they are even running a profitable business. And I coach photographers. I know when they come to me, most are not. Look, these lies are sneaky because they feel true. They feel logical. They feel safe, but they're keeping you stuck. So if you caught yourself in even one of these today, that's actually great news, because being aware of them is the first step to change. Listen, you're not bad at business. You're not failing. You just need to stop believing the lies that are holding you back and start focusing on what actually builds a profitable business. Now, listen, if you're wondering what to focus on instead, watch this next video where I'll walk you through my photographer freedom staircase. You'll discover your current business stage and what you need to do to move to the next if you want to have a 6-figure plus business. And thanks for being here, friend.